Hello, YouTube. It's been like forever since we did a live stream, but I thought I would do one today at my little spot out here. Yep. Just trying to chill. I'm actually parked at a lake, believe it or not. Well, I guess you would probably want to believe it. Hey, Kira, how's it going? I'm celebrating being alive. Wanted to show you what it looks like as I try to chill out here at this lake. I'm kind of laying here. I have the back propped open. I can have the fan on, but I turned it off because of the noise it makes, and I was going to be broadcasting. Otherwise, I'd have this little fan on. Let me show you here. So I could have the fan on blowing right at me. But I got the windows and the doors open, so it's like 88 degrees inside the vehicle right now. But yeah, I'm just kind of taking it easy. Hey, Angry. What is up with the RV? The RV is being used quite a bit. It didn't really get finished. It kind of was in limbo. Long story short, the RV is leaking and having all sorts of serious issues because we didn't fix it correctly. But it's being used. I am using it. I have been taking my kids in it. So, been living in it, kind of, sort of. The issue is trying to find parking. So that's something I'm still working on, but I'm actually living in the van and occasionally taking the RV out like an RV to use it to travel and camp out at various spots. But, hey, Tim, go easy on the bacon. Actually, I haven't really been eating much bacon, although I'm thinking of celebrating, being alive here with bacon. But for those of you who don't know what's been going on, I've been having like some serious health scares. But it turns out everything's okay, so don't worry, everything's good. Still having some problems right now with my chest, but at least we kind of know what it is, and it's fixable. I suppose even if it was what we thought it was, potential heart issues, that would be fixable, but it would require opening me up. In this case, the doc says I might be able to fix it just by stretching and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do some stretch. Hey, George, glad to see you're okay. I had you in my thoughts all day. Those of you who don't know, George had eye surgery today, and it looks like he made it out, and apparently can still see. And Kira's going to eat some bacon for me. Yeah, it's really nice here. I left the VA clinic and was trying to decide what to do, whether to go back to the RV, but then decided, you know what, it's going to get dark soon. I might as well come over here to my little spot here at the lake and just lay out here until they kick me out. Do you guys see the dragonfly there over the water? So decided to just come here, chill a little bit. So Timothy, I saw your video, man. You got your van done. You should take it out. Take it out to a lake like this. You won't really know if it's gonna have issues until you try to live in it, like sleep in it, and then you'll see. I'm gonna give you a warning. If it gets really hot and you decide to install air conditioning in your van, be very careful when lifting it. I think I know how I did it too. What had happened, I don't know if you guys saw the videos where I show how I mount the air conditioning on this van, on this windowsill thing that I made. It's a reproduction of a windowsill on the RV. And on the RV, I had it, mounted and everything. And then I set the air conditioning unit on the table. I had built a little table on the inside of the RV. And it was like a little table ledge. And what happened was I was driving the RV and the air conditioning unit broke the table. It was so heavy, it broke my little table. Remember, it had little hinges and stuff holding it together. And it collapsed down, and I think this is when I pulled my ribs out. I had climbed back there, so it was an awkward, tight, little weird space. This was like about a month ago. And I was trying to lift that whole thing up. It wasn't just the air conditioning unit. It was the table, and the AC was like lopsided, and I was like, man, I just ruined the brand new air conditioning unit. So I was trying to lift it, and it was like a weird, awkward position because, the bed is there in the RV. You know how cramped it is back there in an RV. So I had one foot down, I had one foot on the bed, and I was lifting the whole table with the AC on it. And I think that's when I basically dislocated my rib. Hey, Van Life, good to see you on here. Some people wondering, yeah, you're talking about air conditioning and stuff. Honestly, here's my opinion, okay? If air conditioning is important to you, get a van that has working air conditioning, or get one that can be fixed. Because really, mounting the air conditioning unit and finding electrical power to plug in and all that, it really isn't worth it unless you know for sure you got a place to park, like somebody's house, and you're going to park in their yard, their backyard, or their driveway or whatever, and they're going to let you run a power cable. Then you might build something like this where you can put in a full-size window air conditioning unit. But honestly, if your vehicle has built-in air conditioning, you could run the AC, close all your windows and stuff, and just start your car or your van up and run the air conditioner. The main thing you want to do is make sure, I don't know if it's down here, yeah, my thing fell off, is have your carbon monoxide detector, because if you're running your vehicle, then it's generating carbon monoxide, and there's a chance that it could blow back into the vehicle. So you want to make sure you have carbon monoxide detector with fresh batteries, and always check that every so often. You could run your car and idle, for a while and let the air conditioning run. Just like you can run the heater, built-in heater, because it blows through these vents. So you would have cold air conditioning without having to do weird stuff like putting a window AC and all that. And I know some people say, well, my vehicle doesn't have AC, so, it's worth it if you can find parking where you have a plug that you can plug in electricity. But if you're having to come out here like this, you can't really run that air conditioner anyways, the window air conditioner, unless you have a generator. And then you're talking about a big, huge generator to run an air conditioning unit. And then all this nice peacefulness of being out here in the woods is lost, or at the lake. So better to get a vehicle that has working built-in air conditioning unit, I think. Because it's small, it's already built in, you don't have to deal with it. All you have to do is just run, just plan for extra gasoline. Or better yet, find a cool spot like this, usually water. If you're parked by water, when the wind blows across the water, it actually cools the wind down. Now, right now, wind's kind of not moving. But I'm kind of sitting here. It's somewhat shady where I am, but I'm still getting some sun. And if not, I can run my alternator, when I'm driving, to recharge my house battery pack. So I could actually lay here I even have the side windows here propped open. See how the side window's open and there's mosquito netting there? I know it looks pretty bad, but it's like 4 years old. But I have everything opened up right now, including the front, kind of sideways there a little bit. Some joggers have come by and they leave me alone. I could actually lay here all day and just sleep out here. And just have the different fans on if I wanted to, and have it blowing and circulating, so air would be moving. And that's what I would normally be doing if I wasn't broadcasting. The reason for not doing that is the noise. But Timothy, I would love to see you take your van out and go camping on a weekend or something. If your van keeps losing Freon, try to replace the service valve core first before putting Freon in. Hey, Nomadic Drifter, good to see you on here. It's been a while. The Analysis channel says, if I could run a box fan and allow for a nice cross flow, I would do that. I don't know if it has leaked down a Freon in here. That's another idea is if you have an inverter or even a 12-volt giant fan, or you could make one, you could mount a fan out here and have it blow air, But like I said, these little ones, this is fine right here. This is how I sleep at night. I have this guy on, and I only use one fan, and it just blows right at me. I don't know if you guys can hear that wind, but I run this all night, and it blows right at me. And if it gets really bad, I put some water on my skin. Like I'll spray myself with water or just take a wet rag and wet myself down. And when the wind hits it, it'll actually pull the water off and cool me down like 10 degrees, 5 or 10 degrees. And some of you think that because it's humid here in Florida and stuff, that won't work. It actually does work. Now, what might help a little bit when I do something like that, I might prop my windows open a little bit. This gap here on this side, see how it has the netting there? And I have it on the other side as well. So what that does is if it gets too humid inside the vehicle, the air outside is less humid. So the humidity inside the vehicle will go through those windows and evaporate out. What you don't want is like a steam bath in here. But I never really had that issue. And some people wonder, Timothy made a really interesting comment about his vehicle having cloth curtains. And I think that's the reason I haven't really had moisture issues. You'll notice my vehicle's surrounded with cloth, the curtains all around it. By the way, if you have not seen Timothy Mo Bang for Your Bucks channel, and I think he's cross-uploaded some of those videos on the Pay It Forward channel. But his van build, he has a really neat idea for putting window curtains up using snaps, snap kits. So if you want to see how that's done, it's really cool, and it makes a really tight, light seal. But what he was saying, and it is true, is that if you have cloth, okay, when you sleep at night, a lot of people say, in their van, they use that Reflectix, that plastic silver with the bubbly thingy in it. It's like a thermal insulator, but they put it in their windows. And then they find that when they wake up, there's moisture all over everything. The windshield, the glass is all coated with fog. But I often don't have that problem. And two reasons is a lot of times I'll leave my window gapped out open a little bit. So air is always flowing through here, circulating. But the second thing is the carbon dioxide that I breathe out, which is moisture in it, collects on the curtains. So the curtains get a little bit damp, but my windows don't fog up. I have very seldomly had windows fog up. The only time I've ever seen them fog up is when it suddenly rains and I have to shut everything, real quick and the air conditioning isn't running yet. It'll fog up then because moisture built up really fast. But typically when I sleep, when I wake up the next morning, I don't have foggy windows. And I think it's because, as Timothy says, the curtains are absorbing the moisture. So I'm going to give you guys a better view here than looking in my van. Vanlight says, I have a commercial jump pack that I've been using to power microfans like Denoy has, and then about every other week charge them up. Been stealth camping in the Sienna. I don't know if you can charge those things. You might be able to pull power if they'll take a 12-volt charge and charge, just running wires to jump to the battery pack and charge it while you're driving. Van life. I mean, that, my battery packs are charged from the alternator when I drive, and I just put a little switch in there. You've seen that if you've seen the van build. Oh, the ice box. I got kind of a mess here, guys. That ice box down there, I can use that if I need to. This is sitting in the van just in case. But I also put the RV. I can talk to you a little bit about the RV and the AC in there and the solar. Maybe I'll do an episode on that so people can see what real use is like. And I've actually set up a dual solar bank system on that. So maybe we'll do an RV episode, possibly even this weekend, if I get the RV and have some time to do a video. But I use that little cooler there. If it gets if it looks like it's going to get exceptionally hot, I will actually go buy a bag of ice. You can usually get a bag of ice for about between $1.50 to $2. And I think it's worth $2 to sleep a little bit cooler for the night. But I'll put a bag of ice in there, nothing but a bag of ice, and then put my fan on it. And the little I guess those little L-shaped, elbow-shaped pipes, they can be used to direct the air right at you. And what it does is it basically, you put this fan on that big open hole. It'll blow this fan, which is very strong. Hear that? That's a really strong breeze. It'll blow that and force it right over the ice, cooling, pulling the cool air from the ice to hit you. So the air that's hitting you is probably like 35 degrees, 32 to 35 degrees. I know people keep saying it doesn't work, it doesn't work. They've obviously not used it because when I have it pointing at me, it blows air because it's just hitting ice, which is 32 degrees or colder, and it's blowing that air right at me, and it's coming out and hitting me at probably about 35 to 40 degrees at the most. It's cold. Now, it actually does melt pretty fast in Florida. So 10 pounds of ice will last a couple hours. By the next morning, the water, the ice is melted to become water. That's how hot it is here. But for getting to sleep, you've got a couple hours where it's blowing ice cold air right at your face. It's not going to cool down the vehicle, even in a small confined space. It won't cool it down like a real air conditioner would. But it's blowing air right at me while I'm sleeping. And that's the purpose of it, was to Van Life wants to know, I guess, if my fans are running off the battery. Yeah, everything here runs off the house battery. I have two battery banks. Well, I have the car battery, which is the regular battery. Then I have two house batteries, which is in a bank. I originally only had one, but I had an extra battery. So I've got about 200 amp hours of batteries, of which, because it's lead acid. Lead acid means that, it's the cheapest. You can only really run it down to like 50%, I think. So that means even though I have about 200 amp hours, I can only use about 100 amp hours. And really, with real world use, I think I'm limited to more like about 40 to 60 amp hours. But these fans, they use like 0.8. I mean, they use like 0.8 amps, but you can round it up to 1 amp. So that means running one fan all night would use, about 8 or 10 amps for me to use it all night. So if I run all three fans, I probably use about 30 amps. But I've never really used all three fans. I only usually use one. Sometimes I think I might have used two, but mostly I use one. And then by the morning, what I do is I charge the system back up when I drive, it's still dark when I get up sometimes. I'll flip my switch and charge it up while I'm driving. And then even though I have solar, I turn the solar off when I'm doing it. Try not to cause any additional problems with electrical backflow or whatever. I don't know if that actually even would do that. But I have a switch here. This switch connects the solar panels. Right now you can see the solar panels are connected. So it's on right now for the solar. So the system is charging right now. The house battery is charging. So if I wanted to, I could sit here during a hot day and run the fan all day and not wear my house battery down. I could run all three fans probably. That'd be using 3 amps per hour. Only 3 amps. And I could run all three fans while the sun is out and have wind just blowing right at me while I'm sitting out here. And the system is charging itself back up while I'm parked, So I pretty much, this van is in a lot of ways more self-contained, more, more self-survival capable than the RV. Because the solar panel that's on here is enough to power all the fans. I found that my 500 watt solar panel, I have a 255 watt solar panel. So my 255 watt solar panel isn't enough to run the rice cooker pretty much by itself. But with the dual battery bank, and if it's fully charged, I can now cook rice without running my engine. Remember I used to have to run the car or drive somewhere to be cooking? I can cook in the rice cooker using the battery bank, and then the solar panels will charge it up. So it uses maybe 20 to 30% more power than the solar panel is putting out, but it doesn't drain my battery bank down low. So I can cook without driving. I can just be parked at a lake like this and cooking rice. Then let the solar panel charge the battery banks back up, and then cook some meat or something to eat with the rice if I wanted to. The only real thing that's missing from this van um, really is like showering capabilities, but I may set that back up again. I'm still debating about living in the van versus living in the RV. You know, the RV is like really, really, really comfortable. It's almost like luxurious. I've got a kitchen, and when I have the system running, I have a refrigerator, freezer. I have a bathroom with a toilet, flushable. I have a ability to take a shower or a bath if I really wanted to. But, it all costs money, and there's a certain cost, and you got to do a lot of energy management and water management in the RV. The van is so simple that, you know, I, when I lived out in the compound, I could shower in this back area by mounting the little shower up there. And then I just stood out naked out in the woods. Probably couldn't do that here at this lake because there's a lot of people come by here, but I could put little screens up and then take a shower if I wanted to. But if I was going to do that, I would probably just sneak a swim in this pond, this lake. I just hope there's no leeches in there, but yeah, the possibility of taking a shower and stuff in a van is a little bit more limiting than in an RV, but the van just seems a lot more easier to manage. The RV has all sorts of issues and stuff that come up, and because I didn't correctly fix the RV up due to circumstances and budget and stuff, it's having some of those issues. If I had to do it all over again, would I do the same thing? Yeah, because I didn't have a house or whatever where I could park the RV and work on it. If I had to do it right, I would do like Timothy said at the very beginning. I would have ripped the whole RV apart, like taken down all the walls. The only thing I would have left is the bottom part of the RV and the floor, and then put in a new floor. And I would have left the framing. Then I would have put up all brand new walls and a whole new ceiling. And the windows, I might have replaced the RV windows with custom windows or house windows. Basically make a tiny house on wheels instead of an RV. That would cost quite a bit of money, but more importantly, it would require you to have a spot where you could park the RV and work on it uninterrupted. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have that luxury, and I didn't have the funding. So the RV is what it is. It's good enough. But yeah, if you want to see some really cool ideas for saving money and different ways of doing things, check out Timothy's channel, More Bang for Your Bucks, or check out the videos that he's uploaded to Pay It Forward. But he has finished his van build, which I think is a Sienna, and it's a really cool build because it's not permanent. You can actually take all the stuff out, and it doesn't take too long to take it all out to convert it back to a regular passenger van. But when he has it rigged out, it's really nice. It's got a front wall that separates the cab area from the back, and he's got this versatile bedding lounge chair system where you could convert it to lounge or you convert it to bed, and it's got a whole bunch of storage. And then he also has a really neat idea for this adjustable kitchen area. I haven't seen it all in action, so I don't how well it's actually going to work, but from the looks of it and the sounds of it and seeing how he built it, it looks like a really great idea. And I think the build is something that you don't have to be like super skilled to do. He tried to keep it really simple. So check out those videos. Definitely worth watching. Van Life wants to know if I don't know if it's Timothy or me he's asking. Do you have an icebox build video? I thought you did. I actually had several icebox build videos. I did one with the blue container, and I did one with the styrofoam using, I think it was either Walmart or Dollar Tree styrofoam ice chest. Let me show you the stuff. It's really not hard to build. You have to pardon me crawling around here. It's kind of a mess, but I'm going to try to pull this thing here. Pardon my mess. I was going to clean, but then I got lazy. Didn't want to clean. Just wanted to chill. I'm over at the... Alright, let me show you this. I was going to do a build video and go a little bit more detailed, but I'm just going to do it right now and just explain it because it's really not too hard to do. What you're looking at is a Igloo Cooler. It is 13 cans, 9 quart, 8 liters. Okay? And I bought this from Walmart. And it's made in the USA. But anyhow, I bought this from Walmart. It was like $9. This cooler. And it's a good size. Look, you know, for my hand, you can see how small it really is. It's not huge, but it's a decent size. The round one that I used previously is approximately half the size. And you might be wondering what the difference between the round one and this one is. It's just the size. And what that means is the one that's half the size will not take 10-pound bag of ice, which is what they sell at Walmart and most places, a 10-pound bag of ice. So that means if you buy the blue one, you can't put a whole bag of ice in it. You can only put about half of a bag. This one, you could prop a whole bag inside here. And it goes up to the top almost, the bag of ice. And the significance of that is you have a whole bag of ice. So that means it has 10 pounds worth of ice with a cooling ability. And what I found in real world use, between this one and the blue one, I prefer this one just because it's easy. I just buy, you know, for $2 or less, a 10-pound bag of ice, put it in there for the whole night. It'll usually last 3 to 5 hours, maybe 6 hours before it melts with the ice blowing directly at me. But that's long enough for me to sleep comfortably. You know, I can fall asleep and it's like, it feels almost like I have air conditioning blowing on me when I'm sleeping. And the bottom part here, you can see nothing was done to it. It's just a regular Igloo box. Okay, and if you didn't want to ruin your lid, you could probably get a piece of wood or something and cut it to this size. You could get a piece of wood or a piece of plastic and cut it to this size. So that way you have an ice chest. Okay, but I didn't because I didn't care about ruining this. So this is the lid, and I'm going to take it apart right now just to show you. Let me set the camera down for a second. Okay. And all I did was I took the lid, and I have a drill that has an attachment on it that lets you cut a hole. And one of the hole sizes, it turns out it matches this pipe exactly. It's just slightly smaller, so it makes it for a tight squeeze. So I laid it out like this, thinking that I would want it like this, pointing at me like this from this end. And then it would have 2 of these things that could spin. See how you could turn it? So you can direct the airflow. And what I did was I just drilled straight through using my cutter. I drilled there, and I drilled here, so I had 2 of them. And then, for the fan, the big hole here where the fan goes, okay, what I did was I took the fan, one of these fan thingies, and it's like little screws. Let me try to find it. See here, it has like, this one, I don't know if it has snaps. I think this one doesn't even have screws. This one has snaps. So they're all different. But what you do is you look for little snaps or little screws and you undo that. So then you get the cage off. And then you use that to draw a circle onto here. But then when you cut, I kind of messed up a little bit. I should have cut a little bit smaller on the circle. You cut in a little bit. I made it a little bit too big. So the fan will sometimes fall through. See how it falls through? You don't want that. So you want to make the hole a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller than the fan blade, the fan guard. So you draw your circle and then you cut inside the circle a little bit instead of like I did. And you might be wondering how I cut inside the circle. I took my little special round thingy and I went to the corner here and I just drilled another hole. Then I took my jigsaw and I went around the line. And if you're like me and you made it too big like this, you might be like, how do you fix that? Well, if I put some tape on here, some, what's that tape? Well, tape, that thick tape, duct tape. I could run duct tape all along here, and that'll make this a little bit, you know, the hole a little bit smaller. Then the fan sits on it like this, see? And if you really wanted to make it permanent, you can remove this, you know, unscrew this part right here, the holder, the clip, and then you have a little portable air conditioner. It looks nice. It'll look like a real air conditioning unit. But you could have it mounted on here, screw it into place, and then you got a professional looking, somewhat professional looking air conditioning unit that's 12 volts, but it runs off ice. I don't really call it, I don't know if you truly call it air conditioning. You call it like a personal air conditioner, a personal cooler. But It'll run off 12 volts, and if you're like me and you have batteries that can be charged, power isn't an issue in this fan. I have more than enough power. I could run this all night and have it blowing cold air at me, $2 a night or less. So, not a bad little project. These things are about $2 each or less. So it's like $4 for these. And you don't even use glue or anything. See these things? You just kind of shove it into the hole, shove it, and there it goes. It's like a perfect fit. And it just comes to the other side and lets air blow through. And that's it. Very simple construction. Total cost $9 for that, $4 for these. So that's what, $13. And then these fans you can get, I think, for about $15 or less. So about $30, less than 30, 25 to $30. You can have a personal 12-volt air conditioner. And how long did it take to build? Probably I'd say less than 30 minutes, less than 15 minutes to do all this. And I'm going to keep this one. If you don't have the money, if you want to go really cheap, you can go like my original design. They sell styrofoam boxes, styrofoam coolers in Dollar Tree or Walmart. I think the Walmart ones are about $2 or $3. Dollar Tree is obviously $1, but it's just a styrofoam box that's a little bit bigger than this. And what you do on that one, you take the fan and you draw a hole for the fan to sit on it. Make sure the hole's smaller than the fan so it doesn't fall through. But you can put it in the center or whatever. Then on the sides, you just make little holes. 1 or 2 or 3 little holes. The less holes you have, the stronger the wind blowing out will be. The smaller the holes and the less holes you have, because you're forcing a large volume of air to come in, and it's coming out these tiny little holes. So when it comes out, it blows at a higher pressure. So you can do that. That was the original design. You just put the fan blade on it, and you had the holes, and the fan would blow down, hit the ice, and then come out the holes directly at me. But it wasn't direct unless you moved the whole box. This, you can move this. See, and that's the power of this. And the reason this one was made, and I went ahead and made this, is I'm thinking, like, if you have 2 people, you could direct it so one blows towards one person and one blows towards the other person at the other end. So it's, to me, a better design, and with about the $30 that I spent on it. Would using that Van Life channel asked, would using a big chunk of dry ice make it cool longer? Yeah. Dry ice would make it really cold and would probably last longer, because dry ice typically lasts about 3 times as long as regular ice. So if you had access to dry ice, I would use that. But dry ice can be dangerous if you touch it with your bare skin. So you got to weigh that. For me, it was just a convenient issue of using regular ice. And also at work, if I freeze a 1-gallon milk jug or water jug or whatever, I can freeze it solid and bring that in. And a 1-gallon jug will fit perfectly inside this. So then I can run it pretty much for free, because the ice would not have to be bought. If I wanted to, I could put frozen jug of water in there, 1 gallon. And my electricity is generated by the sun. So then this air conditioning unit is free to run. Well, it wasn't free to make the ice, but I'm getting it for free because I'm using work's freezer. The house battery, it really isn't too complicated, Van Life. What you do is you just get the simplest thing to do is get a box, the battery box, which is about $9, $10 at Walmart or wherever else you buy it. And you put your battery in that. And the cheapest batteries you could get, okay, that is designed for it, would be the RV batteries or the boat batteries. They're the deep cycle batteries, so they're meant to drain down. But you put a 12-volt battery in there, it's going to run you anywhere from $90 to $115 for one of those batteries. Those batteries are rated at about 115 amp hours. But roughly you can say about 100 amp hours. Out of that 100 amp hours, you can expect to use about 30 to 40 amp hours out of it. Because when it gets too low, you don't want to run the battery down low. That's what will kill your battery. So, you can use out of a 100 amp hour lead acid battery, plan on using only about 30 to 40 amp hours. So if you get one of those batteries, you could run this fan all night with no problems, because this fan uses less than 1 amp hour per, 1 amp per hour. So you could round it up to 1 amp. That means if you run it for 10 hours, this fan uses only 10 amps. You could run 3 fans all night and not have any issues, as long as you charge your battery totally back up the next day. Now, charging the battery back up is an issue that I've learned over the years. What it is if you run it off the alternator, it'll send the voltage at 14.6, 14.4 volts back here. It sends it to charge the battery, which is a 12-volt battery. But the problem with those lead acid batteries, you're not supposed to charge them at full rate all the way to the end. If you charge it at 14.4 or whatever, it only gets up to like 90% capacity, and then it doesn't really want to charge. You're supposed to, I think, on those batteries, as it starts to charge up more, you're supposed to lower the voltage that comes in to charge it. So it slows the charging down instead of trying to supercharge it fast. So that's why I say, even though you have a 100 amp hour battery, by convention, I guess, lead acid, you only use half, which is 50 amp hours. But the reality is, because of charging and stuff, you can only use maybe about 30 to 40 amp hours. That's lead acid, mind you, not the lithium ions in those. Those supposedly you can use all the way down to 0. But they cost like more. Like, for example, my RV, I have approximately 400 or 500 amp hours of batteries. They're lead acid. So I spent about $500 on batteries. $500 will not even buy you 100 amp hours of lithium ion. A lithium ion battery for 100 amp hours, I think, costs about $800 to $1,000. So you can see the difference. So I could spend $500 and not even get 100 amp hours, or I can spend $500 and get approximately 200 to 250 amp hours. I went with the latter. I went with the more amp hours, even though it's a cheaper battery set. The reason for that is cheap. I'm cheap. I don't have the money. But the drawback to it is you have 4 or 5 batteries, which are very heavy and they take up space. Whereas if you had the 100 amp hour lithium ion, you only have 1 battery. Let's see, reading about hobos and hobo showers. I'm trying to catch up with you guys. Nomadic Drifter says, I've lived in a sailboat, bus, and van. Now we are in a travel trailer and have just purchased a new one for this year's travels. Travel trailer should be interesting. Travel trailer, I think in some ways may be better because you can, really fix it up and pull it somewhere and park it. So you're not dependent upon the vehicle, unless the axle or something breaks. So it's a purchase that could end up being used even after your vehicle's no longer running. It's something I've kind of considered, but the issue I have with trailers and travel trailers and things like that is you have to kind of tow it. And I'm still a little bit nervous about towing things. Just continue to scroll through here. Hello, Sherry Ann. Good to see you on here. Sherry Ann, Timothy's channel. I don't know if I have the link on here, but I think it may still be on the main page for this channel. It's called Mo Bang for Your Bucks. And he also posts some videos on some of those videos he shared. He cross-posted some of them onto Pay It Forward. So you want to make sure you subscribe to both. But check out Timothy's channel. He's got some really interesting content and some really neat ideas for doing your van. Nomadic Drifter, have a good dinner. Stay safe, buddy. I'm just scrolling through here. JG, good to see you on here. And Minivan Traveler, good to see you on here. But yeah, I'm getting ready to get dark here soon, so they'll kick me out of here. This place shuts down. But I wish they had camping overnight. This would be a perfect camp spot. As long as the alligators don't come up. This is Florida, we get gators. Probably gators in this lake. All I need is a bikini babe with me and, a better looking van. And this would become the glamorous van life channel. But it is what it is, and I think it's good enough. With that said, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I wanted to thank you all for tuning in. Just want to let you all know I'm doing okay. Those of you who know me personally, I am just trying to relax. I'm probably going to have to do some figure out how to do stretching exercises to try to get my ribs back into position. Because basically, I strained myself trying to fix the RV AC situation when the shelving collapsed. And I think when I did that, I pulled my rib out of its socket, which is why I thought I was having that not thought, I did have a really severe chest pain. And I knew it wasn't really a heart attack because, it wasn't like sudden. It like built up and then suddenly last weekend it was feeling really bad. Like coughing was hurting me and even breathing was hurting. And then with the COVID scare that's been going on around here in Florida, which is now going to be a hot spot, some people at work tested positive, and because of my job, I come in contact with everybody. I was a bit concerned that I might be the one spreading it to everybody. So, because I was displaying some of the symptoms, but not all of them, I went ahead and asked, and they had me go in and get tested, and COVID was negative, which is good, because now at least I can, in good conscience, know that I didn't get those people sick, all those other people that did get sick. And hopefully fix this situation with my chest. It turns out not really much you can do other than maybe go to a chiropractor or OT or just exercise. And then the doctor said, even if I didn't do anything, it would eventually go back on its own because your muscles would try to push the bone back where they belong. I don't know, walk around like a hunchback. Anyhow, thank you all for tuning in. Angry, good to see you there. And potato gaming, more ribs, yeah. And maybe we'll cook some bacon to celebrate. So until next time, everyone, take care. Have a good night, everybody. Please stay safe. I hope you are enjoying this view. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Bye-bye, everybody.